I'll get started since this is a lightning talk. I'm Willyard, Northern California, very glad to be here. Came through Kingsley Stern's plant taxonomy course and master's with Christina Sharon-Beck. Currently at Hendricks College in Arkansas, nice little liberal arts college. Wanted to take this chance to tell you about a new paper that's just coming out in the American Journal of Botany, Pinus ponderosa, a checkered past obscured for species. So quick acknowledgement to a lot of undergraduate student researchers, some funding from the Forest Service, and an initial seed grant from the Native Plant Society some years ago. So ponderosa pine has a really checkered past. Folks were rushing to name new species to enter into seed catalogs for the European demand for horticulture. And so there's a lot of missing type specimens, unknown type localities. What happened was, in Mexico, they ended up naming about 13 species of this subsection, and in the US, they got all lumped into Pinus ponderosa, and lots of different suggestions for varieties. And what's commonly recognized are east and west, so here, and this was called variety ponderosa and variety scopularum. And then some people do a line here that's unclear either morphologically or geographically for Benthamiana and scopularum versus Brachyptera. And so in a recent publication using mitochondrial data, the Potter folks found that instead of, they found the separation from the western and the eastern varieties supposedly, but they didn't find this clear line here. What they found, it looked more like bathtub rings around the Great Basin, and they found some unexpected unique clusters, not the ones people had been suggesting. So, for example, here. So, our group used chloroplast markers. That was from the mitochondrial genome. And what I'm going to do is cut to the chase here and tell you what the results are. So ponderosa in a strict sense are these green dots over here, and they are relatively distant from Pinus benthamiana. And so what happens is Jeffrey pine is here in the middle. The eastern ones, maybe the scopularum to some people, those are more distant than Pinus arizonica and the southwestern, and also from Pinus engelmannii, which is a Mexican species that gets slightly into the US down in Arizona. So the cool thing about this is that relative to the genetic distance to Pinus arizonica, which has been clearly recognized as a different species, and to Jeffrey pine, which is clearly recognized as a different species. In fact, it's one of the California big-cone pines. And from engelmannii, the pines out in California are not sister taxa to the ones there. So now, when you take the mitochondrial data and the chloroplast data, you actually see that they overlay pretty well, and the pattern is not what we'd found before based on all of forest geneticists' work before. And in fact, this benthamiana bends around and goes way farther inland than we were expecting. The ponderosa sensu stricta would be limited to this part of the Blue Mountains and down into the Sierra Nevada. We have a really double support for mitochondrial and chloroplast data for a previously unrecognized unique area here. And so we actually have these unrecognized suture zones where non-sister taxa are now living together. And the other thing we found is we have some mosaic zones. So we have some areas, not unexpectedly in the Klamath, but also here in Oregon, and there's some other places in Wyoming, etc., where we actually have different chloroplast and mitochondrial patterns. So we don't know, because the sampling was different, whether those are intermingled trees in the population or whether there have been some organelle lineages that have been transferred. We're working on some nuclear data. We also are working on some sampling from the species in Mexico, and I'll just tell you one interesting example, and that's that the relative mitochondrial haplotypes from this clade up here, that's what we're calling Benthamiana, because that's how it was originally published. Actually, its closest relatives are some species from southern Mexico. So one of the things that I'm not sure what my time is. 14 seconds. I'll just tell you that if you're thinking about any study that involves ponderosa pine, you might want to consider that the ones that are close to each other may not actually be closely related. They may have grown and migrated into contact. Thank you very much.